Huzzah and well met to the wizards and sorcerers of the season. And I have a short video for you today. In case you can't hear it in my voice, I haven't been feeling well, so we're going to keep this one brief. I do want to forward this, however, as that a commenter whose name I don't want to butcher, but they know who they are. Yes, indeed, my shulker box design is uh, the same as Silent Whisperer. That is where I learned it, and I will link their work in the description of this video. I did not intend to steal any of my design work, and I usually credit things, but this Shulker Box Loader video is very old, so maybe I had forgotten to mention it. But anyways, if you've watched my channel for a while, you've probably seen this. We're going to take that out of the way for now while we talk about... Oh, that was the wrong one. Take the glass out of the way while we talk about what's going on here. So I'll try to be brief in that we have a dispenser. This is a dispenser, and it places shulker boxes to be loaded. And what needs to take place for a shulker box to be broken is something to sense when it's full. So when the shulker box fills up, it backs up this hopper until we get enough signal from this comparator looking into the hopper. And it will lock, when there is enough signal, this redstone dust will be lit up, locking this hopper so no more items come through and bog down the one that we are measuring against. And it will activate this sticky piston, pushing this observer, which the observer notices and sends a signal through our concrete block to our repeater, which is observed here, sends a signal through the concrete block, which will momentarily turn this torch off. Then the power from this observer will also activate this piston, breaking the shulker box. And after a moment, the piston will retract. The torch will come back on, activating the dispenser and placing another empty shulker box. That's all there is to this circuit. It looks more complex than it really is. And what I wanted to share here is actually just some variations that we can see here. Now, this button is for when you first build this thing. You're going to need, well, okay, when you first build it, and if you ever have to reload it manually, so you'll place all your shulker boxes in here. If there's not one here, you will need to push the button for your initial box to be placed, because all that does is activate, well, the button will power this blue concrete block, which will turn the torch off for a moment and then back on, activating the dispenser. So there you go. You cannot see into the shulker box while it's there because it has no space to open up. So when you first build these, it will take a while for you to adjust to not seeing the shulker boxes being filled, and you will just have to trust that the system is working. If it's not, you'll see partially loaded shulker boxes in this chest down here, because that's where they go. You can see all of our hoppers are pointed this way. The boxes will be sucked into the hopper through this repeater, so it's not a problem. The glass is because sometimes when you break the shulker boxes, they can arc outward a little ways. That can obviously be a problem. If you want, you can tile these next to each other. They won't interfere if you just build them in an array and set. Maybe you have a sorting system on top and sorting filters, which also won't. What am I trying to say? They don't confuse each other in sorting. So it's a really convenient way to sort items and store them in shulker boxes as we go. Now, with this system, you only need this hopper. The reason we have these ones is so that you have access to your items. But if you were to stack this on top of one of my storage silos, you might not want this hopper to face forward. In that case, the button can be placed here. It can be placed on any side of this box. It always does the same thing. Just powers the blue concrete block, which momentarily depowers the torch. And when it lights back up, that powers the dispenser. So you can do it this way. If you were to have some sort of silo stack underneath and wouldn't be able to reach it from here, but could reach it from here. So you have options in how you place this thing. Also, your hoppers could go to the left or right. They need not go directly forward or directly downward. You could even send them backwards and have your treasure chest or interactable receptacle here. It's all up to you. But I wanted to share with you a couple variations here to show where the pivot points are on this thing, because I prefer being able to wrap this around, and this actually uses much less glass, which is nice. So you can use these. Well, let's start with the basics. You can twist them at this point, where this block is the only block in this column. You can twist it around. You just have to make sure that when the sticky piston pushes the observer sends the signal through the concrete block. I'm using blue here. You don't need to use a concrete block, just any solid block will do. But it needs to send the signal through the block to the repeater. So make sure your observer is facing the correct way, but it doesn't matter which way it's pushed. If it observes a change, it will light up, powering the concrete block. So that holds true even if you take the concrete block to the far side, and as you can see, this one is wrapped in a horseshoe shape, while that one's only turned. The benefit to these, like I said, is that you can tile them right next to each other and have a whole array of them going off into infinity that way, or at least 30 million blocks from 0, 0. But if you build that many shulker box loaders, I wonder what exactly it is that you're loading. So you can twist these around so they fit within your area. You can twist it even more beneath the hoppers, and the reason this works is because this observer powers the concrete block, which powers the repeater. The repeater doesn't need to send its signal directly to the observer. It sends it, or as long as the repeater lights up, that is a change that this observer can observe and power our next concrete block, which will depower the torch again, and when that powers back on, fires the dispenser. So all we need to do is turn our regular piston for breaking the shulker boxes over to this side and place the comparator still looking into the same hopper, and our redstone stays essentially the same, other than that it makes this turn. It still locks the hopper and activates the sticky piston here, moving our observer. And that's really all there is to it. You can also turn them the other way. You can see this one is horseshoe shaped, but I turned this one the other direction so that now it's almost a Z shape or an S, depending on which directions you go. But once again, the horseshoe shape and the turned shape will save you on glass, which these are already as inexpensive as a shulker loader can be. You could also have this side being straight after this turn and build them out diagonally in an array out to infinity if you'd like. But that's really all I wanted to share about shulker box loaders, different ways that we can contort them to fit in our areas or fit within whatever farm it is that we're building from. And I wanted to address the concern that, yes, this is a design that I didn't make. all credit goes to Silent Whisperer. I don't know if it's their own design or something that they found from someone else. But I do appreciate you all keeping me honest. I appreciate your questions and your comments. I love the likes. I love seeing more subscribers, even when I wasn't able to share a video last weekend. And I hope you're all blessed on your next quest. I'm off to my next adventure.